Payoff night and payoff week. The men's Maryland Suburban Traveling League always had its payoff night the week following the last week of bowling, which made for a busy week. Bowlers were constantly alerted not to pay by check on the last week of bowling because of the time it took for a check to clear. There were always a few, however, who would pay with a check anyway. This didn't cause a big problem since the final league withdrawal wasn't done at the bank until Wednesday or Thursday of payoff week. However, you did have to let the bank know maybe 2 to 3 weeks ahead of time that we would be needing a large cash withdrawal on a certain date. Payoff night was always a challenge. The league paid off its bowlers in cash, and due to the shares system with the 50-50 part of the prize fund in the first year that I did the league, it was necessary that each bowler received his own custom envelope with the correct amount of money for his team prize and any individual awards, and the correct allotment for the 50-50 payback. With this system in place, it made it necessary to calculate ahead of time the number of denominations of currency that the bank needed to supply to the league. And with so much cash, around $50,000 for a typical year, the bank insisted on being informed of the currency denominations a week or two in advance. The president and myself would visit the bank on Wednesday and watch the bank attendant count out the money in a back room to be sure we were getting the right amount. After this was done, the money would be brought back home. The president sometimes would keep it until Thursday evening when I'd pick it up and start working on stuffing envelopes. Counting the money was time-consuming because I always did it twice. But also writing or printing the information for each bowler on each envelope took a lot of time as well. Once I took possession of the money, I really couldn't leave it alone at my place, even if I had to run out for a sandwich. It was like a babysitting job until going to the bowling alley on Friday evening. Most of the time I took off work on Friday, but there were occasions when I had to go into my job, and I would leave it in the possession of my boss until I was ready to leave for the day. Another thing that made Payoff Week a challenge was that trophies and plaques had to be ordered at the Lucians Awards and Trophies in Hyattsville, Maryland. I had to wait until the last night of bowling was completed before knowing who won the team championship for their plaque or trophy, as well as figuring out the individual awards and the appropriate numbers, such as, like say, John Doe, high average 142.23, Maryland Traveling League 1994-95, or something similar. That's what would be printed on the plaque. It usually took a few days to get the order filled, and I would then make a trip over to Hyattsville, Maryland, no later than Wednesday on payoff week. When the statistics part of the job expanded with the frame-by-frame inputs, simply providing a basic list of names and numbers, games, pinfall, averages, etc., didn't seem adequate to me for the final standings sheet. So I would produce a year-in review segment of the final book, which the voters seemed to like. This also added to the busy payoff week's duties, as it was a part of producing the final sets of booklets which had to be copied and put together. In the last 10 years of my tenure, we would run the Big 32 tournament on payoff night as well. My duties on this were a good means of winding down from the stress of the responsibilities of the week. The Big 32 was similar to the Travel League Open. It's just that it would involve 32 members, and the tournament took place on payoff night after the league money payout. All I had to do was monitor the matches and pay off the participants after each round of the tournament. When all was completed, the exhausting week had come to an end, but there was a great feeling of accomplishment that followed that made everything seem all worthwhile.